Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for July 20th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and I'm here today to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 27 live feeds. It was day 12 in the house, and we had a veto competition, a surprise veto winner, some talks about who the replacements might be, and some controversy about that. So with me to talk about it all is Chantele. How you doing, Chantele?
I forgot what it's like to be extremely tired when you are covering Big Brother. It's been a full year because we didn't have any Big Brother Canada to just kind of get you back into the swing of things. But I have to say, I'm really enjoying this season so far. I like that there's just like game happening. I thought I wasn't going to love that Rachel was in the game. I thought it was going to be kind of like BB19, where it was just like everybody was kind of like, yeah, maybe they should be targeting her, but I don't feel like what she's bringing to the game this time around is kind of messing things up. So I'm pretty happy to be tired right now and talking about yesterday.
Yes. All right. Well, let's talk it through then. Of course, Jimmy is the HOH. He has nominated Adrian, Keanu, and Kelley for eviction, with Keanu as the very, very, very house consensus target. However, in the HOH competition, Keanu won a power, the ability to double his chances at winning the veto. He did choose to activate that power, which means that in the veto competition, he will theoretically have doubled the chances. What does that mean? We'll find out soon. In addition to that, Kelley also has a power related to a veto. She has the ability to potentially gain an extra veto. They all keep talking about it like it's Caitlyn's puzzle challenge. But in reality, they all watched season 26. Maybe, I guess they didn't watch it all the way through, or it was just so forgettable they're not realizing it. This is Leah's power, the one that she kind of willfully threw away and kind of threw the game away in the process. And so she will very likely have some kind of challenge that she needs to complete at the veto ceremony if she wants to get another veto of her own. And of course, Mickey still has her HOH takeover power. She is continuing to try to keep that a secret from everyone, because if people know that she has it, then they will be able to reverse the decision that she when she tries to overthrow them. And of course, Zach down there still has his 10K veto. So that's the lay of the land. A lot of, I feel like we're Survivor with the lower thirds on the powers nowadays.
Absolutely. But do you know what? They're not bothering me so far. Like, yes, maybe keeping track of them. The poor Jimmy, probably wouldn't be saying the same thing, with the fact that like there's a chance that he's gonna be putting out 5 people. But I don't mind these powers so far, which I'm usually kind of against having things come in and shake things up. So I don't know what's wrong with me, but the powers aren't bothering me too much.
Well, luckily, a couple of them are getting out of the way pretty quickly, it seems.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yes, Keanu does activate his power at the veto picking thing. Time to pick players for the veto. And this means that Ava is chosen to play in the veto, along with Keanu, Kelley, Adrian, and Jimmy, which makes 5 players. However, no additional player was chosen because Keanu activated his power. And instead of another player from this season competing in the veto with them, a former player from the past, a veteran, will be coming in to compete with the 5 existing veto players. And if they were to win the veto, that would also count as Keanu winning the veto. So Keanu will compete, the vet will compete, and then the other 4 players, Adrian, Kelley, Jimmy, and Ava, will also compete, which effectively doubles Keanu's chances of winning this veto. In reality, it kind of, depending on who it is, either more than doubles or less than doubles his chances of winning the veto. But that was the question on everyone's mind. Who is this going to be? And of course, Tucker was top of mind as Kelley was like, oh man, I hope it's Tucker. Oh man,
she's obsessed with Tucker, and Tucker's loving it. I don't know if you saw the little clip on Twitter, on X, that Tucker's like so amped up about Kelley, and he can't wait to meet her. And I'm like, we know.
I mean, watch out, man. she's man, I hope it's Tucker. I hope it's Tucker. Oh, could you imagine? Could you imagine if I beat Tucker in a competition? I love this game. Could you imagine?
Now, I do wish, though, that another player from this season was able to play. Like, I wish they had the 6 players. Yes, he can have an extra shot, because if the veto is used and won by that extra person, somebody from the game is going to be going back on the block, and it just sucks that an extra person didn't get a chance to defend their game and maybe potentially save themselves. So that's a little bit of a flaw, I would say, in this power, but it's kind of minor.
Also, just to be clear in the chat, that was not me acting as me. That was me acting as Kelley. That was what Kelley was doing.
People are confused.
Just to be clear.
Maybe you need a brain.
Yeah. So yes, that is what's happening. And not a whole lot else going on pre-veto, just because that's usually how it goes. We're waiting for veto results to see what's really going to happen. And so they go to play the veto, and when the feeds come back, we discover that Casey Clark has won the power of veto.
You didn't think you were going to be saying that this season, I don't think. I mean, of course she's going to win, though. She was so good at all these veto comps, and I'm sure that the competition that they did was going to be something that suited her skill set. So it's probably like catching balls or like climbing. You know what I mean? It's going to be something that she's going to be good at. So I wasn't surprised that Casey won, but I was surprised that it was Casey that was there. Well, slightly surprised.
I was initially thinking it did make sense that they would go with Tucker, considering all the talk about Tucker. But then people are like, no, Tucker's in like New York. It's not Tucker. I was like, oh, maybe it is Jag then? I don't know. Like maybe, it's got to be somebody nearby, right? Because the thing is that Keanu chose to activate his power that day.
Right.
Theoretically, he could have chosen to not do it. So nobody's going to fly out for this because it's like the same day. So it has to be somebody local. And so obviously I was thinking LA, but Casey does make
Florida,
a lot of sense.
I thought she was in Florida. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Maybe she's LA. Who knows?
Maybe she moved. Or maybe they have like a whole bunch of, people that they want to use throughout the season. Some people have been speculating that some people that were snubbed from 22, or like they weren't able to compete on this All-Stars 2, that maybe they're using them again. Rachel was someone that they wanted to have on All-Stars 2, but she was pregnant. I think Casey and Josh. So, I mean, maybe I wouldn't be surprised if those two popped up on the season, if that rumor or theory is true.
Yeah, well, I know she was from San Diego. I'm being told in the chat she is now in San Diego again. I think because I thought she had moved from San Diego at some point, but maybe she's back, or maybe I was just imagining.
Not up to date.
I'm unfortunately not up to date on the latest from Casey. I know she did a stint on the challenge as well, and so definitely not rusty when it comes to competitions, and came in and schooled them all here on the Big Brother 27 cast.
She did, and I would be frustrated if I were Kelley, just for the fact that he didn't really have to earn his extra power, which we'll be getting into, I'm sure.
So with Casey winning the veto, that means Keanu will be coming off the block. And in addition to that, we still have Kelley's power, which will be used or can be used at the veto ceremony, which could potentially allow her to also come off the block. And that, of course, means that Jimmy's got some thinking to do. Now, some post-competition happenings. First of all, Adrian apparently was second place to Casey, which, quite unfortunate for him. You can't really imagine a scenario where Adrian doesn't win this veto if Casey Clark, one of the best competitors in the last, 6, I guess, well, geez,
7 years,
6 or 7 years. Was it that long ago that she played?
20.
Jeez. Hadn't come in to stomp on them all. And in addition to that, don't worry if you've been wondering, hey, Ashley hasn't put her foot in her mouth in a while. She goes ahead and confronts and accuses Kelley of throwing the competition.
And like, okay, I understand if like maybe she wasn't doing very well and you would just assume that she would be doing better. I get it. But the way that she says these things, it's like in a kind of an accusatory and a kind of a mean way that even if I was, I'd be like, shh, like, don't, anyway, she always is putting her foot in her mouth. And I wanted to like Ashley as a game player, but she has no self-awareness. She's so bad at the social element and she thinks she's doing so much better than she actually is. She's going to get a rude awakening because I think that she could be up on the block sooner than she thinks.
She later apologizes for it by saying, yeah, sorry I did that, but it was what everyone was saying, so. And it's just like, and so like, I think there's a clear sort of distinction here. A player like Ava goes up to Kelley later in the day and says, hey, just so you know, I don't think you were throwing that competition. Like, I totally think you were trying. I don't know why people are saying, I don't know why Ashley's like, because why wouldn't you just do that? Like, why wouldn't you just like not say that to somebody or say the opposite? Oh yeah, you did great. Good job.
Absolutely. Well, I think that we learn a little bit or a lot later in the evening is that Ashley believes that she has a power that does something else. And so she thinks that like not winning is better for her so that she can activate this power. And so I think she's going in with that kind of mindset that like, oh, she has to be throwing this because then she can activate her actual power when that's not the case at all. And so we kind of can understand why she's maybe be thinking this way. It's kind of a confirmation bias.
Why she might think it.
Right.
So that's happening. Ashley does also, I will say, we've talked about how Ashley has actually some decent reads, at least sometimes. She is more and more on Mickey's case about having this third power. She really feels like Mickey might have it. Zach has mentioned it as well in the past, and she's now going around talking about how Zach also thinks that Mickey has it. And this is not great for Mickey because it is starting to spread, and she is at the very least one of the top 2 to 3 options for people that have this power. And I don't know if this power is going to work.
I don't think it's going to work. And I think what Mickey needs to have done or maybe start doing is talking about who might have the power. It's like, having a little more conversation about it, because if you just don't say anything about it, be like, why aren't you talking about it? Why aren't you trying to figure this out? Why aren't you trying to sleuth it? And so I think that also would lead her to be kind of like a suspect because she's not really acting as somebody that's trying to investigate, figuring out who has this power. And I also don't think that she should have told Morgan. It's just like she should have really kept it as tight-lipped as possible, because just having it out there at all, it's gonna get out there. She's not gonna be able to use it.
I mean, at this point, I think she may need to pull like a Hail Mary. And, if she is planning to overthrow somebody's HOH, recruit every ally that she has who would be interested in her overthrowing the HOH and get them all to pretend like they have the power to try to throw off the scent, like at the last minute, basically.
Or maybe be in cahoots with the head of household and be like, hey, like, I know this is what you want to do for show, but like, how about we have this so we can get something done, and it could be kind of, top secret, and then they can maybe put up somebody that is a little more that they might not want to do, like open, wide in the open. So that could be a way that you could use it.
Yeah, but if she has the relationship to work with the HOH, then she probably doesn't need to use the power. Like, right? Like the point, kind of the point of this power is like use it on somebody that might nominate you, or get you in trouble, right? So I mean, what you're saying would work. It's just like it severely limits the power of it. Like it's no Quinn
Right.
using it on
Well,
Angela's HOH.
for sure. Like you want it to work, obviously, how it's meant to work. But if everybody knows who has it,
Mhm.
then at that point you kind of have to work with the HOH and be like, hey, how about we do this instead? I guess.
Maybe, yeah. So that's where things are from the veto. But Jimmy needs to think about what he wants to do. Of course, we talked yesterday about how he was considering, throwing Amy up on the block as a replacement if he needed to. I feel like this is a bit of a mistake from Jimmy. I think that it upsets a lot of the people in his alliance, and it puts up a person on the block who is just, quite frankly, not much of a threat generally, but also specifically to him. Amy is somebody that wants to work with Jimmy, or at least wanted to work with Jimmy, and has talked about targeting people maybe around Jimmy, but not Jimmy himself, which is kind of what he wants. He's specifically trying to keep people around him that will be targeted over him. And Jimmy has bigger threats to deal with, people that would talk about targeting Jimmy, or something along those lines, and that are a little bit more threatening. With Amy on the block, it puts more tension between him and Rachel, somebody who he is talking about wanting to keep around for a long time. And if you're going to like upset Rachel, it kind of gets to the point, well, why don't you just put Rachel on the block and send her out? Jimmy is very much playing a game, and this is how he's describing his strategy of wanting to keep a lot of big targets around because he's concerned about being targeted himself. He sees himself as a big target, and therefore he sees a player like Amy as a threat to him, in the sense that if he is sitting on the block next to Amy, of course, he would be voted out over Amy. I think that logic doesn't track, though, if you plan to evict Amy, right? Because you're getting the votes to evict Amy, and you're saying that Amy would survive against anybody on the block, not to mention the fact that Amy, very by the skin of her teeth, survived just the last eviction. I just don't really see it for Jimmy, quite frankly. And given his other potential nominee, I think that he is more so just kind of falling into the same Vince trap of just like, I have to nominate so many people. This is making me scared. And I didn't expect that of Jimmy, quite frankly.
Yeah, he's definitely scared is the word I've been used with how he's playing this game. He doesn't want anybody to be mad at him next week. He's making all these deals being like, if I do this and this person goes out, you're not going to put me up next week. Like everybody that he's talking to, he's kind of like making sure that he's like, oh, we'll still have two big targets that we can go after next week. And so like next week's target is going to be easy. It's just going to be Keanu and Kelley again with another pawn. And we're just like, okay, we get it, Jimmy. Like you're scared to make a big move, and you want to be safe for the coming weeks. But I think it's funny about how Rachel later on is just kind of like, so like his big move is going to be that he got out Amy. Like that's going to be on his resume. Whoa, like winning game, which I think is a fair assessment that it's not so great. So yeah, I'm surprised by Jimmy's scared gameplay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there are going to be suggestions for other options. We can talk about them. I think Riley is a big one. He is going to talk about Will. We will talk about Will soon. I think Will is actually a pretty good option for him, at least as a renom. The reality is, from my perspective, that Adrian is just straight up the best person to be evicted for Jimmy this week, or at the very least was until he stepped his foot into this big mess. But he seems convinced that he cannot get Adrian out. That Adrian will either win the Blockbuster because of who he's putting up on the block next to him, or that he wouldn't be able to get the votes to evict Adrian. And I don't think either is necessarily true. And Adrian is somebody who is clearly a competitor, who now clearly has reason to target Jimmy. Jimmy has not made any kind of significant agreement or alliance with Adrian to not target him in the same way that he's concerned about Keanu and Kelley and is trying to make deals with them, as we'll talk about. But, you know, I really feel like and we saw a similar thing even with what happened last season with like the AI arena. Like, I really feel like it's messing with people's heads. Jimmy keeps talking, I'm gonna have to nominate 5 people. And again, this is Jimmy. He's like, I didn't think I'd be like this, but like, 5 people. I just feel so bad. And it's just so scary. And it's just like, geez.
Yeah, who cares? Like, they're not even going to be in the jury. You know, get him out of here. Be the villain that he was, you know, exciting us that he's going to be, and he doesn't care. And like, people can hate him or love him. It doesn't matter. Like, I was excited to see that version of him come out, but I think that you're right with the AI arena or whatever, BB Blockbuster, the fact that they might not go home, it makes him particularly place a lot more scared. But what would have been a better idea then is maybe put people up that are all competitors. And so you're going to get out a competitor that might be challenging to get out of the game. If all 3 of them are good at these competitions, one of them will be going. That will be better for you if you're ever in a head of household situation, or, you know, you're up against somebody at the end of the week and you have to compete against them. You'll have people that are less, you know, talented at those games. So yeah, he's not really seeing the game.
I mean, I really feel like Jimmy's biggest crime this week, this day, is that he made the decision before he consulted with anybody. In his mind, he convinced himself that this was what he needed to do. He needed to put up Amy and maybe Will, and just never allowed himself to deviate, which ironically is Keanu's problem as well, which I don't know, maybe that's why they clash so much. But he really should consider other options. I mean, he didn't even talk to Will at all. He's going to find out later that Will is basically chill about it, which is great. I think Will, like I said, not a bad option for Jimmy, considering he may need to nominate 2 extra people. Will would be a very good person to put up. Everybody's okay with it because Will screwed up and everyone knows it. And Will's kind of in the doghouse right now. And so people are like, even if I like Will, he does kind of deserve to be nominated. So that makes a lot of sense. Will's not even putting up a fight. So that makes just a ton of sense. And then Riley, like, why not even consider Riley? Why not talk to Riley? Because Riley strikes me as the kind of person that you could talk to Riley and be like, hey, you want to compete? You know what I mean? Like, who knows? You never know what Riley might do. Maybe you talk to Catherine and you go, hey, Catherine, what do you think about Riley going up just as a pawn, just as somebody that could go up on the block? Because Jimmy has no real solid connection to Riley. And Riley is such a wild card. And there is a chance that, like, you know, beast mode cowboy before him, Riley is willing to do this if Catherine gives the okay, because he doesn't know the game. He doesn't even know what he's doing. He didn't even know that the veto meant that you were safe. So like, these are the kinds of options you want to explore before you start barreling headfirst into destroying relationships that you have, and having your alliance tell you, don't do this, please. We don't like this. But he's not doing those things.
Well, I think another option, and I don't know if this would be too messy, is the fact that Keanu is claiming that he was he did not vote out Amy. Like, that's not what he did. He voted out Zay, and it was Riley. Riley was the one that did that. Like, so be like, oh, well, you know, this is what Keanu's saying, and maybe either have them both in the same room to discuss that, or just be like, hey, Riley, I'm putting you up because I don't know what happened here, and then maybe that could cause like a little bit of a rift between Keanu and Riley in the future weeks or something like that. that. But the fact that he's not really talking to anybody else, he just kind of has his idea as to what he's going to do, is frustrating because it's not what I want to have happen this week. And he does have options that he could do that would make his week a lot better. But yeah, I don't think he's going to take them.
He's later talking to Morgan, and Morgan is also arguing against his picks. And this is like later in the night. He's already basically locked in. He talked to his enemies, Keanu and Kelley, before talking to his allies, making deals with them, and then informing his allies of what he was going to do. And he says to Morgan, like, I'm frustrated with you guys because you keep telling me not to do this, but you're not giving me any other options. And first of all, they had suggested Riley, and he said, no, Riley's too good of a competitor. I'm not making a move like that. I can't make a move like that. It's too early to do Riley. It's too early to do Zach. It's too early to do Rachel. And it's like, what does that even mean? Like too early. And so it's like, well, hold on. What are the options you're talking? And so he says the line, I just have no other options. Tell me my other options, other than ones you've already told me. And it's like, well, of course they're not going to continue to talk to you about this if you shoot everything they say down, and you came in with a clear goal in mind and have no flexibility. So I say all of this again. We often talk specifically about the HOH and the decisions that they're making because they are the ones making the decisions. There is some validity to some of the things that Jimmy is doing. It's just the way he's going about it is kind of asinine much of the time. Amy is the person he's considering the most, especially at first. He doesn't think she does anything for his game. He thinks that she's never going to win a competition to help him out. So he might as well, just put her up on the block, maybe even send her home. And that would help weaken Rachel. And, it's an easy nomination and so on and so forth. And he wants to bring Rachel far and all of that stuff. Like, let's ignore the fact that Amy absolutely could win a competition. And let's ignore other options. Like even somebody like Ashley would be a much easier sell for a lot of people, but he's worried. He doesn't want to do Ashley because she's won a competition before and he's concerned that she'll win another one again and then come after him again, playing very scared for a guy that had a lot of bluster, a lot of talk in the first week.
Well, he has won 2 competitions and his average is really high and he doesn't want people looking at him as being this big comp beast. And so I guess the way that he's looking at other players, he's expecting other players to be looking at him. So full on projection here. And when really they're like, we're not even looking at things in that way right now. Like we're just actually trying to do the best move for our alliance and our group right now. And you're looking at, who's going to be coming after you and who's going to win competitions when it's just like, how about we just put up people that we can get out that will be threats to us later on in the game.
I mean, just honestly, for as much as the last season and this season seem to be on a trajectory of more equitable competitions, it's still very not equitable. It's still very much that even last season, Mackenzie just basically won a billion things. It's just the concentration of winners does narrow significantly. And if you are a player like Jimmy and you are somebody that can win competitions, you should want there are plenty of other competitors out there. You have an HOH, use it to your advantage. Take one of them out. HOH should not be about mitigating the damage that's done. HOH should be about advancing your game forward. Everybody thinks that they're Andy Herron when they win HOH, and they're just not. Andy Herron, when he won HOH, was 2/3 of the way into the game at that point, and had already set up his end game. This is week 2. This is not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the stakes are low here for sure. And the fact that he's so scared of Adrian, I don't really get that part as well. I like Adrian. I'm kind of frustrated with the fact that he's like, when he was voting in the diary room, he's like, oh yeah, like I know I'm going to be on the wrong side, but I don't care. And I'm like, actually, you do care quite a bit, Adrian. You do care that you're like nominated for this. And so I kind of would like him to stay on the block and maybe go home for just, I don't know, it was just bad gameplay. And I wish that, you know, Jimmy would maybe take him up on that and just send him out.
So this is his idea. He doesn't think Adrian will go. He thinks Amy is the person he's going to put up. If he has to put an additional player up, Will is looking like the person that he's probably going to be considering. He talks to Kelley about this. And this is where I don't mind what he's doing with specifically these people, because they're these people. But he talks to Kelley and he basically proposes a deal to her. He says, hey, if I put up Amy for you, you know, you voted Amy out, you know, we're taking a shot at Rachel. Like, this is what you would want, right? Like, I'll put up Amy, and that'll be good too, because Amy's like, you know, people vote out Amy over Adrian. I know you want Adrian to stay. So if I do you a favor and put up Amy, can we call a truce? Can we like make bygones be bygones, move forward, work together with Vince? Like, can we make this happen? And she basically just says, yeah. We can do that. And she goes and talks to Vince about it, and Vince is like, yeah, we should do that. And so that it works. Kelley's locked in. She's working with Jimmy now. So he's got that going for him.
Absolutely. And Kelley seems to be really susceptible to working with the men in the game. And so I think that it's great that he's maybe picked up on this subconsciously and knows that like...
If Rachel and or quite frankly any woman, I think, approached Kelley with this deal, she would have said yes, run to Vince or whoever, and
Adrian
been like,
or like anybody.
Can you believe what Rachel tried to do?
Yeah. So actually, even with that conversation where she does talk to Rachel, and Rachel's like, I think Rachel's a bit scared about the fact that you want to stop and talk later?
We will get to okay. Rachel, but I don't want to interrupt your point though. Yeah, Rachel has a conversation with Kelley because Rachel, who is from season 12, where of course very famously there was a diamond power of veto. Rachel is very concerned that Kelley has a diamond power of veto, and has a very funny conversation with Kelley where she's like, "You have a diamond power of veto." And Kelley's like, no, you know, it's a bit, I don't know, I don't think so. And Rachel's like, if you did have a diamond power veto, I'm not saying you do, but let's assume that you did have one. You wouldn't put me up on the vlog, right? I mean, you know, I feel like we can work together, don't you? I feel like, you know, what if we made some no one would suspect us working together.
Ooh, and Kelley is obviously says something like, "Oh, you know, like we wouldn't have to be mean girls anymore." And I saw like Rachel's face being like, "Mean girls?" Like she was completely taken aback that like that would come out of Kelley's mouth, and Kelley just like. She's kind of thinks like all the women are against her and after her, and like they kind of aren't sometimes. Like, yes, she's not really getting along with some of them, but I think some of it's in front of her own doing. And it's just so polar opposite though with how she deals with Rachel in that situation. Rachel's like, well, we don't have to be braiding each other's hair anymore, but like we can still be working together and like just not be hanging out all the time. And you know, obviously Kelley goes and is laughing about that with Adrian, and I'm like, I think that like yes. Rachel was trying to suss out if she has the power and like kind of make some sort of connection if she did. But I don't think that she's been a mean girl to Kelley at all. And I'm just like, I'm frustrated that Kelley sees everything through that lens and that she kind of shuts out all these women from working with them because she thinks that they're mean girls.
So Jimmy does the same thing with Keanu, like almost word for word, where he goes to Keanu and his goal is to go to Keanu and say like, hey, I will put up Amy for you, right? Like that's like he's trying to make the same deal with Keanu to neutralize Keanu, who's coming off the block. He anticipates that Kelley's also coming off the block. She is saying she's planning to use her power. They're all anticipating the Caitlyn puzzle, and they think that it's impossible to lose the Caitlyn puzzle, especially for Kelley, who's a whiz at puzzles. And so he goes to Keanu and he's trying to just like reset, right? He's like, all right, Keanu, let's let's be honest with each other. Like, I know you voted Amy out. Like let's just like start fresh. And Keanu's like, interesting. Okay. Yeah, I didn't vote vote Amy out though. I don't know why you're saying that. I didn't lie about that. What are you talking about? I didn't vote Amy out. I voted to keep Amy. And Jimmy's like, Keanu, I know you wanted Amy out. Like that's I'm trying to talk to you about this. Like I know you voted Amy out. And Keanu says, nope. I don't know. I was talking to Will, and I think that Will was probably the one voting Amy out. Actually, that's what I was thinking. And Jimmy's like, dude, we know Will voted Amy out. That's part of it. We know we counted. He's one of the 5. I heard 2 people told me they heard you telling people that you voted Amy out. So at the very least, you are telling different people different things about who you voted out, dude. And Keanu's like, you don't understand. Like, Will, I think, is the guy that we should be looking at, right? And it's just like, what are you? How?
But why is though Keanu like lying about this? Like, I get it. Maybe if there's no idea who did the vote, it's a hinky vote or something like that. But it was very clear which way he was voting for the most part. We obviously know that he's told some people the truth. Why does he not realize that he's lying? Like, is he just used to embellishing? Like, because he's creating a story, he's creating a world. Like, I don't understand when it's very clear that if you want to talk to the head of household, you're trying to make a deal and you're trying to work with them, you kind of have to be a little bit honest, especially when they're coming out and saying some facts. Be like, okay, yes, this is what happened. How can we work together? Can we get past this?
He's got to be one of the most inflexible players I've ever seen. I mean, Jack kind of gave him a run for his money in the early portion of the season, but like he just refuses to budge from the same like perspective and strategy that he had. It's so clear. He has no awareness at all that like nobody believes you, dude. Why do you keep holding on to this lie? Not a single person in the world, let alone the house, believes a single word you're saying about that vote.
I don't know. Maybe he believes it at this point. Maybe he realized. Maybe he thinks that when he went to vote, it wasn't voting to go; it was voting to stay.
Keanu is the meme of the guy in the corner at the party being like, they don't know that I voted to keep Amy.
What?
It's ridiculous. So ridiculous. And it's putting a block on every single potential avenue for a relationship that he can muster. That's the thing too, is that with Jimmy putting Amy up on the block, I always try to think about like overall house structure and where pieces could move based on events that are happening. And in my mind, it just makes so much sense that with everyone mad at Jimmy for this Amy nomination, Keanu's path, because people keep asking, like, does Keanu have any path to like reintegrate? I think his very obvious path is people are mad at Jimmy. Who's the most anti-Jimmy person in the house? Keanu. Keanu could get an in with people like Rachel who are mad at Jimmy for putting up Amy, and that's his in back into the house because Rachel liked Keanu. That was like one of the only people that naturally clicked with Keanu. But he will never do that because he's still convinced that Rachel is this like demon child, demon mother, I should say, who is like trying to ruin his game. And every time he talks to her, he, like in this conversation with Jimmy, puts this massive wall up and says, "What do you mean? I like you, Rachel. I've always been trying to work with you."
I think it's because he's scared. I think he doesn't want to look stupid. I think he doesn't want to look like he's got. And the fact that Rachel is a previous player, previous winner, and she could be doing different tactics, and she could be lying to him. That he's putting up this wall with everybody because he just doesn't want to get duped. And I think I know it's ruining his game completely because he's not somebody that anybody could work with, because you can't work with somebody that doesn't actually believe you or is not willing to be honest with you. So yeah, he's shooting himself in the foot for sure.
Mm-hmm. So Jimmy eventually kind of just gives up. He's like, all right, fine. You voted to keep Amy. Sure. Let's just move past that. It sounds like you're pretty anti-Will. And he's like, yeah, Will's lying about that vote. That's so like this Will guy. And so Jimmy's like, okay, well, I guess, I mean, if I put Will on the block, would that kind of like, be a good step forward to mending this relationship? Would that be a sign of good faith moving forward? And Keanu's like, oh, absolutely. Yeah, that would mean so much to me. Why?
I don't know. And it's like, also, he did actually vote with Will, and so that could be a number for him in the future. Like, if the people that voted out
Will is another player who wanted to work with Keanu.
I don't know what he's doing. He's just used to playing games alone. Like, if Dungeon Masters, they're just kind of facilitating the story. So maybe he's not used to being kind of collaborative in that way. I'm just trying to figure it out here, Karen. I don't know.
Keanu, for no reason, decided to lie about his vote. And because he's lying about his vote, he needed a fall guy, decided Will was the easiest target to blame, and despite the fact that not a single soul believes him, is now targeting Will because he's trying to blame him for his vote.
That he actually did do. And they know that he did do it.
Oh, boy. And here's the thing, Jim. He talks to Kelley after this conversation, and he's like, yeah, I'm feeling better about Jimmy now. He's targeting Will for us.
Yeah.
It's
has he watched the season?
He touches the hot stove, and he goes, oh, that burns. Jimmy, don't do that. And Jimmy's like, I think it was a miscommunication. And he goes, okay. And he touches the, Jimmy, you nominated me. Why would you do that? And then Jimmy's like, oh, I'm sorry. I'll nominate Will for you. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, Rachel's like, give me a hug, Keanu. And Keanu's like, oh, I love hugs, but not from you, Rachel. And then he gets burned from somebody else. And he's like, and Rachel's like, see, I told you, Keanu, now come give me a hug. And Keanu's like, no, you're not going to trick me, Rachel. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah. Wait, so do we know if he's had any prior history to the show? Like, is he I don't think he's a fan, but
he claimed he was a fan, but I believe he was lying.
Yeah, no, he was a super fan person, right?
He was the guy that was like, man, when Kaser said that line to Maggie. But I think we believe now that he watched a compilation.
Yeah, a clip.
I think that Melissa was correct in her assessment.
Wow. I mean, I was excited for, I like fans, like super fans, people that know the game, know the show playing. And so it's shocking that he was going to be the person that we're going to put all of our like super fan hopes into. Clearly that would have been a mistake. Yeah. Whose team is he on?
Rob's, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jimmy offers Will as a nominee, but of course Jimmy has already offered Amy as the nominee to Kelley, and so he goes, "Well, I was thinking Amy for my fourth nominee, and then Will maybe the fifth." And Keanu's like, "Well, Will should be your fourth." And so they kind of negotiate back and forth. So now Jimmy's like, okay, yeah, maybe Will is the fourth and Amy is the fifth. Is that what you would prefer? And Keanu's like, yeah, that's what I prefer. Because he just hates Will now.
He wants Will to go. Now, do you think that there's like a better order for him to have like a
No, I
better
mean, like I
outcome?
said, I think that Will is the smarter nomination for Jimmy. I hate that because I don't want Will to go off of this one mistake in that vote he made. I think that he had potential as a player, although I will say he's really laying down in the face of this, which is making me feel like maybe I'm putting too many hopes onto him, and so maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he left. But I'm hoping that's just an initial reaction and he starts fighting soon. But yeah, Will makes a lot of sense. Nobody's mad at a Will nomination, and if he does go home, that's not a great use of his HOH, but it's also not like disastrous for any relationships. He got unlucky with this veto situation. If he had to make one nomination and it was Will, and he was still trying to get out Adrian if possible, or Kelley, like that would be perfect. Like if Kelley didn't have this extra veto and he nominated Will and it was Kelley or Adrian leaving, this is a very successful HOH for Jimmy. The problem is that even before the veto thing happened, he was mentioning Amy as a replacement, and he's now potentially needing to nominate two people. And even if he doesn't nominate Amy now, he's already indicated that he was going to so much that the damage is kind of done. And so it gets to the point where you're criticizing the move, but now the move is almost inevitable because you've already talked about the move so much that you've basically made it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's basically they're like, well, we know that he was planning on doing it, even if he doesn't end up doing it. Like, it does ruin his relationship with Rachel. I don't think she's going to outwardly show that, but she's going to know in the back of her mind that, like, okay, like Jimmy's not really working with me in the capacity that I was hoping, and it's going to burn him later on down the road. Now, what do you think are the chances are that Kelley does not win this extra veto thing? Because people are just like, oh, she's winning for sure. And I know 100%. Like she's the best at puzzles. Like, what if it's not a puzzle thing? Like, it could be a lot of different things.
Honestly, I don't know. Like, obviously the Caitlyn puzzle was designed to be easy enough that basically anybody could do it. Famously, it was like the choke of the century, which I do think is understandable in those circumstances. Leah's, I think, felt very easy, and it seemed like to the point that she had to like exaggeratingly either throw it or be so bad at it, like that it was unbelievable that she tried. So it feels like it should be a gimme, but you just never really know. So
I mean, I kind of want to see what would happen if she doesn't win it, because I'm Tucker, I'm amazing, I win everything, so good at puzzles, and then like she doesn't win this one. It would be an interesting reaction, I'm sure.
I say all of this. I do think that the world where Jimmy only needs to nominate Will, if Will is that one nominee, the Amy stuff can be smoothed over. There's a long time before the next HOH competition, and things get forgotten. I don't think it will ever be fully forgotten, but like it won't be as bad because again, Amy on the block means anybody that doesn't want Amy to go, people like Rachel and Mickey and Morgan, to some degree, like they may or may not be campaigning against what Jimmy wants or like in a certain way. And that continues to pit them against each other all week long, as opposed to, oh, we had an issue, but now it's not an issue anymore and we can start to rebuild. So it would be obviously very good for Jimmy if Kelley did not win this power, but it should be a gimme.
I actually am looking forward to see what happens here. So I guess I'll be doing that. It will happen on Monday after the veto ceremony.
Yeah. Yes. So Kelley, after talking to Jimmy, goes to Adrian and she's like, Adrian, and she talked to Vince as well, of course, where Vince was like, yeah, this is good. We like Jimmy now. Which is weird that he hadn't done that before, but and Kelley goes to Adrian and she's like, Adrian, I just worked on a deal with Jimmy. Don't worry, I'm looking out for you. I'm protecting you. And you can see the fear in Adrian's eyes. And she's like, I got Amy to be going up on the block with you. Boom, there you go. You're going to be safe. And Adrian's like, that's bad. I don't want Amy on the block next to me. Why would people vote on Amy over me? And she's like, well, because she's a target. And he's like, I don't think she's a very good target. I don't like this.
Well, and also having Rachel there that's going to be campaigning to keep her. You could see it. It'd be like, ooh. Like if she said maybe like, oh, she might be easier to beat in the Blockbuster competition, maybe he could be like a little bit more okay with it. But oh, easier to beat, like get the votes. Like, yeah, I'd be scared.
Adrian's like, I would love for like a guy to be on the block with me. That would be great. And so he's not really into this. Kelley then goes and talks to Keanu, and Keanu's like, hey, Kelley, you're never gonna believe it. I just worked out a deal with Jimmy to get Will on the block. And he's quoting Jimmy, like where Jimmy was like, hey, if I nominated Will for you, would that be good faith moving forward in our relationship? Which is exactly what he said to Kelley. And I was watching this. I think I was streaming at the time. I was like, if Kelley was like a regular player, she would catch this, right? Like Jimmy said the exact same thing to both of us. Doesn't seem like she did. She was like, oh, wow, Will, huh? And he's like, yeah, we should totally get Will out, don't you think? And she's like, yeah, we should get Will out. And so she's starting to like come over to the idea that Will should leave instead of Amy. I think in part because Adrian was like, don't put Amy up on the block. And in part because Keanu's now pushing it. In addition to all of that, Mickey's going to talk to Jimmy and he's going to tell her, this is what I'm going to do. It's going to be Amy and Will. And she's like, excuse me, don't do that.
Well, it's probably gonna happen. But with Will though, Will, like I feel so bad for him because he starts talking about how he wants to be there, but he's not connecting. And I was like, wait, where's the Will for the beginning of the season? When he's like, I'm the fun uncle, like I'm gonna be able to get there and hang out with these young kids, and like all of us already. He's like, yeah, I don't fit in. I don't fit into these conversations. And like now he's laying his swords down, being nominated. I'm just like. I like Will. I want him to stick around. I want him to fight a little bit and make him a little harder for Jimmy to be wanting to use him as a potential pawn. Or actually, well, Jimmy said if he puts Will up, he wants Will to go. So fight, Will, please.
And that's kind of where Jimmy starts to land. Mickey cedes on Will, which again, like, just comes down to that vote. And also, like, I would say it's not just the vote; it's the fact that he hasn't really checked back in with any of these people. He hasn't explained himself properly. He hasn't done the work to regain the trust that he lost with those people by voting the way that he did. It really feels like he's just shut down. Part of that, I think, is probably that he injured himself, and that might have been like really tanked his energy levels, which is also maybe part of why he's feeling kind of like, if I go, I go. If he nominates me, he nominates me. I don't know how bad the injury is for him, but it's just like it just has not been very effective, and so they are just kind of like, he kind of did this to himself. So now he's in some trouble, and Jimmy is saying that if he goes up, he wants him to go home, but he's also very obviously open to Amy going home too. And he keeps talking about, like, I've got these votes. I've got 5 votes at least. I've got 8 votes at least. He's now saying I've got 10 votes at least. And it's just like, what are you doing, Jimmy?
Definitely does not have these. He hasn't even secured these votes with these people. He's just assuming that they're going to vote with the way that he wants.
Jimmy's literally the guy that said to Vince, you're an idiot if you do this and think you have the votes. And now he's the guy saying, I have all these votes, despite his allies telling him, I don't do this. This is a bad move.
100%. And also, like, with the Amy of it all, like, Rachel's not really going to just allow you to take out Amy. And so, like, the fact that he thinks that she's just going to be like, okay, no problem, as long as it's not me, like, let Amy go. Like, yeah, I think that Adrian might be in trouble if he's up there at the end of the week.
Very much so. As Rachel is spending the day annoyed with Jimmy, her, Amy, and Ashley tried to come up with a plan to get Vince on the block because they're really starting to be frustrated with Vince. But when Rachel broached the topic with Jimmy, he was not receptive, as he was not receptive with any option other than Amy and Will. Amy, after finding out that she was going up on the block, blames Rachel for it. She's like, man, if I wasn't connected to you, I would be fine. None of this would be happening. Which, let's be real. Let's be real, Amy. That's not true. That's not true. Amy would be the perpetual pawn, regardless of her connection to Rachel. It is the way that people see Amy in the game. I don't agree with it, but it is the truth, and it is not Rachel's fault that she's being nominated. Now, you might say that there's a chance that that she's being targeted more because she's connected to Rachel, that it was being used as an argument against her in the eviction vote. But at the same time, Rachel has done her best and put every ounce of her being into protecting Amy, and is a huge portion of the reason why she wasn't then voted out that previous week. Her being nominated this week is because, same reason as Will, people think she's not going to win comps. That's why she's being nominated. So the idea that she's going to be like blaming Rachel for this, like to Rachel's face, is come on, Amy, come on.
Well, I think she just wants to like lay low and just like not be visible and not make any waves and just kind of move along throughout the game. But I don't think she realizes that people don't respect her as a game player and just are willing to put her up, willing to lose her, don't care if she's angry about it, don't care if she's mad, and that it has absolutely nothing to do with her connection to Rachel. It's wild that she can't see that, because yeah, like Rachel wasn't really, when she was like talking in the beginning of this game, Rachel had nothing to do with how she was kind of coming across to people. And yeah, I feel bad that Rachel's doing all this work to try to keep her in the game, and Amy's just kind of like, can you, like, I don't want the Rachel stink on me because I don't want to be targeted. And it's like, well, if you like, I'm saving you here. Like, if you don't want my help, then maybe I'll take a step back. But she doesn't see it.
Mm-hmm. So they are pretty, as I mentioned, pretty skeptical of Vince. He's like very obviously running around with Keanu and Kelley while trying to act like he's not with them, which is part of that why they were trying to get Vince up on the block. They don't get why Jimmy doesn't seem to see it. And they're very frustrated with Jimmy as well. Rachel says, I want nothing to do with him moving forward. Like they are frustrated. And Rachel is going to also commiserate with Mickey and Morgan, who, as I mentioned, also tried to talk to Jimmy, tried to tell him this is not a good idea. Please don't do this. And he would not budge with them. And so they talk to Rachel and they're frustrated with Jimmy. And Morgan even proposes, like, let's make a new alliance without Jimmy because this guy, he's unworkable. And so there's a lot of anti-Jimmy sentiment being spread around the house, largely by many of his allies. And like, who does he then have? Like, he's trading into some degree, right? He's trading in some capital with people like Mickey, Morgan, and Rachel for capital with people like Kelley and Keanu. And it's like, is that a good trade? I don't think so.
No, I mean, you see them lying on the hammock, Jimmy and Kelley, and she's just like, I'm so sorry that I put you up, and oh, I'm so sorry, like, let's work together. Like, and yeah, this is great. It's great that he's mending this relationship, because if she's likely to be staying, like, you don't want her coming after, and like, I totally get it. But like you're saying, at this expense of his allies that have been working with him, that are going to be the ones that would be voting the way that he wants or keeping him safe in the future. Like, there's just more of them. And so it's just wild, the trade-off. It's like, okay, I'm going to trade off 1 or 2 of you for like my 5 allies over here. The math is definitely not mathing.
So that's largely what's happening with the renom situation. It's Jimmy has gone back and forth about Will or Amy first, about whether Will or Amy would be the target. He remains locked in that Adrian would be staying. However, the consensus amongst the women is that Adrian is their target if he remains on the block, if these are the nominations. They don't want either Will or Amy to leave, and so this is very bad for Adrian. Whether or not he stays, he is going to be the target for these women all week long, very likely. And so, it's just quite it's bad luck. But again, he kind of did it to himself with this vote. But like, that shouldn't be that big of a mistake. And unfortunately for him, it is largely due to this veto situation. So yeah, bad news.
Now, could Adrian? I mean, I know he's kind of well, I don't really know who he's working with, but could he be like, hey, could you maybe put up some people that are bigger targets than me if you want to keep me here in this game instead of say that you'll have the numbers? Like, can you just put up bigger threats than me?
I will say that about Adrian. Yeah, I feel like he's not been active enough in this situation. I mean, what I will say is that, whatever he has managed to do with Jimmy so far has worked, and that Jimmy doesn't want him gone. But he certainly should be talking to Jimmy about these decisions and not relying on Kelley and Keanu to do that talking.
Like, yeah. Because I think it would be really compelling if it was like Adrian, Vince, and like Riley or something, and like those were the three nominees in the end, and one of them came off. Like it would be an interesting vote, I think. But
yeah, and again, like the Blockbuster is so interesting when it comes to campaigns, because normally you would say in this spot that somebody like Vince should campaign to Rachel and her side, saying, hey, I'm anti-Jimmy. Keep me around. You have a good ally now because I'm mad at Jimmy. You're mad at Jimmy. Let's all work against Jimmy. Especially like if he ends up on the block against Will, like that's a great argument. Keep me over Will, who's not going to help you out. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to join your side. I'm going to go against Jimmy. It's a great campaign and it's believable because Jimmy put him on the block. But he can't make that argument because he might end up on the block against Amy. And against Amy, no amount of arguing is going to convince Rachel and her side to keep him over Amy. And so by campaigning in that way to that side, he is just he's shooting himself in the foot, because like it might not even matter. So it limits the amount of options you have for campaigning because of the options that are available to for who you might be up against. And so instead, he kind of has to find the group of people that will vote for him to stay no matter what.
Right.
That's the argument he has to make, not a group of people that will keep him in certain scenarios. And so it's trickier, and it is kind of interesting.
It's trickier and interesting, but I want to see Adrian just play a little bit more. He does have some outs here. He's kind of a little bit sad. He's missing home and all that, and I get that. Especially when you're on the block and this is like your dream and you're kind of here for your family, and you really, he's been setting up all these games in his backyard so that he could be successful on the season. I guess he just didn't realize that a lot of it is the social element. It's the talking to people. It's the positioning yourself with the players. It's not just winning a bunch of competition. So I hope that he takes today to talk to Jimmy and see if he can get somebody better for him to go up against him if or when all these vetoes are used. So we're hoping.
I don't think Jimmy's budging. I mean, there's a whole day, but so maybe it's possible. There's plenty of time, but like Jimmy has so far has felt pretty locked in. But we'll see. We'll see.
It's true. But try, right?
So there is one more thing I wanted to talk about, which is a bit more about Morgan. She was upset throughout the day. She cried a few times, talking about like, oh, I really don't want to be evicted. It was like, well, is she on the block? No. Oh, okay. But she's just having an emotional day. In part, I think because she was thinking about Zay and how he's gone. He's sitting at home. He's watching, and that could be her at any point. But also because I think to some degree, we talked yesterday about how the night before she had that very flirtatious conversation with Zach, where she basically full on admitted that she had a crush on him to his face. He laughed and was like very in that conversation. He was not like giving an obvious rejection by any means. Like I said, the vibe I got from Zach was like, I'm open to this. I'm not pushing it any further, but I'm not rejecting you either. And I think that, come the following day, Morgan is kind of hopeful. That was he was receptive, and kind of immediately found that he was less receptive the following day than he was the night before, and started to maybe push the issue a little more, which caused him to back off a little more, and the tensions rose, and she got a little upset throughout the day. And by the end of the night, or toward the end of the night, it's full on awkward hostility between the two of them. It is like he's trying to talk to her, and she's kind of like, well, what do you mean? And he's like, wow, it seems like you're kind of like not really having a good time. And she's like, why would you say that? And he's like, oh, fine, I'll leave. And she's like, you're the second person to say that to me today. And he's like, who's the first? She said, Keanu. He's like, oh, well, don't associate me with that. And she's like, exactly. And he walks. It's bad news. It's bad vibes.
Oh, I feel bad. Like, I think I really like Morgan. I have a lot of hope for her in this game. Maybe this is good. Get her head out of the showman's vibes and get the gamer back into the game. But I do feel a little bit bad. Like, when you have a crush, I remember I had a friend in high school that had this crush on this older guy, and she was obsessed with him, and he was not interested in her, and it did break her heart, but she got over it. So hopefully she'll get over this crush, because crushes don't usually end up working out. Like, you get crushed for a reason. Like, yeah.
If somebody isn't into you, why would, I don't know why, like, you're still gonna, like, they're not into you. Like, you want somebody, don't you want someone that's into you?
Yeah.
Don't you want somebody that's not like holding out for like somebody else, like Lauren in the house, who's not even necessarily that, like he's literally like putting you on ice so that he can wait around to see if Lauren is interested. and you're just gonna you're gonna be like, yeah, that's chill. Like, if he comes back, like, I guess that's part of what's happening, is that she's not chill with that.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's happening, right? Like, I mean, again, this is my interpretation. None of this is like fully spoken out loud, but Zach, I think, is open to the idea of flirting with Morgan, but doesn't want to close the door to the possibility that if Lauren comes around, if Lauren is ever open, that he wouldn't have that option. So he does not want to go any further than the very light flirtation with Morgan, because he wants the ability to go to Lauren if that ever pops up. And so he kept it at that line, and Morgan was hoping that when he went to that line, that meant that he was choosing her over Lauren. And then when she tried to push that issue, which she said step over that line, he was like, whoa, no. I gotta keep myself available. And that upset her, and then caused more tension as she tried to pull him, and he tried to go no. And so that is the vibe I am getting, and it is causing some extra tension between the two of them.
Yeah, I don't know if she's going to get over it, because I would hope, like, kind of like you're saying, that if someone's on it, you just be like, okay, that's done. Just stop thinking about that. But it doesn't seem like she could get over it that easily. So I think her, the hostility and being kind of mad at him, I think that's her way of maybe getting over it, or like making it not hurt as bad. I'm not sure, but I don't know if she's going to move past this too quickly, if it doesn't actualize into anything, Yeah,
we will see. I think that she'll I think that she just got her hopes up based on the conversation the night before, and was dealing with having to reconcile with the fact that, like, nope, it's not going to be like that. And so I think she'll come back around over time, but this is all very game relevant, because there's a lot happening with these players strategically. But that's about what I have from the day yesterday. Chantele, anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think we got through all of the wild shenanigans that happened yesterday. I'm actually looking
All
forward to
right.
see like what's gonna go on today, because yeah, kind of a lot went on.
Yes. So stay tuned. I'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update everything that happens today on the Big Brother 27 live feeds, including if Jimmy continues down this path, what kind of ramifications there are for that, if there is any kind of campaigning involved with the vote yet, and so on and so forth. So stay tuned. Of course, tonight there will be an episode. So I'll be live on Twitch and YouTube watching the episode with all of you, and then back here on the podcast afterward to recap it all. So tune in for that. And of course, if you haven't yet checked out the book Behind the Mirror, make sure you pre-order it over at taranarmstrong.com and check it out. It's fun. I like it.
Yes, I'm definitely going to be purchasing one of those books, which is very exciting. Get to read all your thoughts out in paper form, which is great. So congratulations on that, actually, FYI.
Yeah. Where can people find you, Chantal?
So you can find me at ChanFriendFriend on Instagram. And also, I've been talking with Chappelle on his channel, Recap Kickback, about Flavor of Love. I have not seen it. And so, because I'm from Canada, and in Canada, we didn't have VH1 back then. And so I've always known about the show. Obviously, I know who Tiffany Pollard New York is, and I've seen her on many other shows since, but I've never seen her origin stories. And so we have been going through that season. So we should be doing episode 7 of season 1. We'll be doing that this week. And so the rest of the episodes that we've been recapping are, you can go and check those out. So that's something that I've been up to. It's been kind of fun.
All right. Well, thank you all so much then for joining us here today. And I will see all of you next time.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.